All right, everybody, good morning. Welcome to Saturday. We've got some NFL playoff action to watch later today, so that should be fun. But we've also got another head coaching candidate resume to take a look at here, and I'm just going to say it. This one, I really don't get. I do not understand why this guy is on any kind of a short list or a long list or a medium list of potential NFL head coach candidates. Aaron Glenn. I remember when Aaron Glenn was playing in the NFL. I remember when he was on the Cowboys in like the mid OOs. Pretty good player, had a pretty nice career, but his coaching career, short, and in terms of recent results, not all that good. And yet, this guy invariably will show up on most head coaching candidate lists. So somebody's going to have to explain this one to me. It's not all bad, and it is getting better. We are starting to see some things out of his defenses that are improved from previously, and he did do some nice things as a positional coach, but yeah, somebody's going to have to explain this one to me because I'll tell you right now, I don't get it. I don't get this one. I really don't understand why Aaron Glenn is supposed to be a desirable head coaching candidate right now. Maybe in a few years, maybe after he produces some better results, but as of right now, we are looking at a guy with 5 years of positional coach experience, 2 years of assistant positional coach experience, and 3 years as a defensive coordinator that were pretty bad. Sorry to have to be so blunt about it, but I look at Aaron Glenn's resume, and we're focusing in on the most recent 3 seasons in Detroit, where he was the defensive coordinator, had a chance to assert himself. It's been atrocious defense, bad defense. So I guess it's getting better, but it's nowhere near good. And you watch those Detroit Lions games, you focus on the things that they do, you focus on how they play. I mean, there's it's not all bad, obviously, right? I mean, the Lions are still in the playoff picture. If their defense was completely inept, that probably wouldn't happen. But where is the result that I'm supposed to look at and go, this is head coach worthy? 2023 most recent season, the Lions make the playoffs, win the division, win a playoff game, might win another this weekend. 23rd in points per game, 23.2 points allowed per game, and 21st in EPA. To their credit, they did have a negative EPA per play allowed, barely, but there were 20 defenses that had a better EPA per play score than Detroit's. 20 out of 31. So that's the best he's done by a pretty wide margin. The other 2 years aren't even worth talking about because it was awful. It was basically unplayable. And they haven't had a ton of talent there, but in the last couple years, it feels like they've really added on. They bring in Aiden Hutchinson. They bring in some new young linebackers, like they got I think it's the Jack Campbell. I think they got Jack Campbell. They get C.J. Gardner Johnson. They get Cam Sutton. They've got some guys on that defense now, and I'm seeing results not out of line with what we saw out of Pete Carroll these last couple years from his defense. So, right then and there, I have to just hold up everything and say, what am I supposed to be buying into here? Now, the positional coaching background is good. He was a defensive back coach for the Saints under Sean Payton for 5 years. Look at all the notable guys that he coached during this time period. Malcolm Jenkins, C.J. Gardner Johnson, Marshawn Lattimore was a big part of Marshawn Lattimore's development. I don't know if that's a great thing because I feel like Marshawn Lattimore got like 7% worse every year, but Marshawn Lattimore is considered to be one of the top corners in the league regardless. Marcus Williams, Janoris Jenkins, who changed his name to Jackrabbit, and I refuse to call a grown man Jackrabbit, so Janoris Jenkins, P.J. Williams, Von Bell, Eli Apple, P.J. Williams, Kurt Coleman, Ken Crawley, Kenny Vaccaro, Raphael Bush, Jarius Byrd, Sterling Moore, B.W. Webb, Roman Harper. Like, it's a lot of prolific defensive backs. A lot of these guys have a big name for themselves. I don't know how many of them can attribute Aaron Glenn to developing them. I don't know if a lot of these guys are like, yeah, thank God I crossed paths with Aaron Glenn and he was able to teach me how to be a great defensive back. Like Malcolm Jenkins was a player well before this era of Saints football anyway. So I seriously doubt there was anything there. But okay, it's a nice resume for a young up and coming coach. And he also had 2 years in Cleveland as the assistant defensive back coach, 2014, 2015. I think that was Mike Petting, one of those two. And he did touch bases with a fair few fairly prolific defensive backs while he was there. Dante Whitner, Tramon Williams, Tashawn Gibson, Jordan Poyer, Kwan Williams, Pierre Desir, remember him, he was a Seahawk. Joe Hayden, a little bit of Joe Hayden at the end of his career. Buster Skrine, Jim Leonard, New York Jets local hero, Justin Gilbert. Like, it's a decent list, but can we get one good year? One year where he, like, actually overcomes a talent deficiency like Canales did? Like, yeah, Canales' defense wasn't, I'm sorry, Canales' offense in Tampa Bay wasn't that good, but it was okay given the fact that he had not a lot to work with. At least that was the perception going into the season. I'm looking at this Lions defense, I'm looking at their results, and I'm saying they're underachieving, if anything. So, yeah, if there's anybody out there who's like this big Aaron Glenn fan, and I know that there are a couple, clearly, because he keeps finding his name on these head coaching candidate lists, let me know what I'm supposed to be seeing here. Because this resume is thin. He's been a coach in the NFL for about 10 years. And he spent 3 of it as a coordinator, and none of the results have been good. So, yeah, this is going to be a hard pass for me. I've been trying to keep things very fair and balanced with these head coaching candidates during this series. And generally speaking, when it comes to even the guys who I'm not into, I kind of find the silver lining. I kind of find the understanding as to why they might be a part of the conversation. Somebody who I at least would entertain. But this is something that if we did it, and I seriously doubt we do it, but if we did Aaron Glenn, that would be something I couldn't really find much of anything to talk about. He's not even young. He's 52. If you want to go get somebody with no resume, go get Mike Kafka, who is 15 years younger and has arguably accomplished more. In fact, I think he's definitely accomplished more, and that's saying something. And at least he's offensive. If you hit with him, it's a home run. And look, you could hit with Aaron Glenn for the same reasons that you hit with Mike Kafka. You just get lucky. But I'm just not seeing it. At least Kafka can say, I didn't have a lot of talent to work with on the offense in New York. Aaron Glenn has had a decent talent in Detroit, in my opinion. I like some of that team at least. And the results are bad to really bad to awful to abominable. All right, so somebody's going to have to sell me on this because this resume is going right in the paper shredder for me. I'm sorry, but I am not seeing it at all. There's got to be something out there beyond just the numbers. So, see you guys later. Go Hawks.